Hey everyone, Greta here. Today we are going to talk about a common myth that in a seated forward fold is touching the hands to the toes that important. Does that mean that it's very flexible? Before we get into that, let us talk about the name of that shape. In Sanskrit, it's called Paschimottanasana, and in English translation is the intense west stretch. West meaning the back body. For yoga practitioners, traditional yoga practitioners, the front body is the east, so the west is the back body. Now, if you look at that name, it has absolutely nothing about the fingers and the toes being connected together. You know, human beings, we are very goal-oriented, and it's more clear if you can give a very direct or precise instructions, so people would have a reference as to, oh, am I doing this right, or am I gaining, or am I earning what I should be earning, or what I should be gaining. So for this shape, you know, a lot of people think that, oh, it's more about mobility, flexibility than, you know, if I have a reference point, if my hands could touch my toes, then that must mean something. Well, guess what? It does not necessarily mean that you're very flexible because our body, the proportion is very different. Some people have longer legs, some people have longer arms, some people have a shorter torso, some people have shorter legs. So as we come in all different sizes, so having the hands being able to touch the toes doesn't really mean that you're flexible. Take my body, for example, my arms are actually quite long. I don't really have to do much in order to touch. Okay, where some people, they would have a more difficult time because simply of the body proportions. Back to the shape, what we actually want to do is stretch the entire back body meaning the back, right? So what you actually want to feel in this shape is an even stretch, so the back side of the body, not just the arms pulling, or not just maybe just the back of your thighs yanking like crazy, but a more complete experience in the entire back body. As said, we all come in different shapes and sizes, and yoga, we should make that shape to incorporate in our body and not just force the body into the shape. However, there are a few elements that you might actually want to consider. Given that the shape is usually done seated on a mat, so you actually want to see how you are seated. You would actually want to sit closer to the sitting bones. Okay, and if you feel that when you're sitting like this, you tend to slouch back a lot, meaning you're closer to the muscles in your butt, like closer to the, maybe even closer to the waistband of your pants, you might actually want to sit up a little bit, be it bending of your knees, or maybe if you have a prop, maybe a block or a few textbooks, okay, maybe even a stool, okay, sit up a bit. And the thing is, because the body is not just made out of skin and muscles and bones, we also have a lot of other things like the fascia, the ligaments, tendons, and all that. And fascia is just, if you want to make it more easier to relate, kind of like saran wrap. So it wraps around individual muscles, different muscle groups, from the head to the toe. So we have a few layers of fascia. And a lot of times when we are, you know, because of our everyday life, the habits, we tend to sit a lot, round a lot. So this part of the body tends to be quite tight in the lower back. So if you don't sit up, if you just sit on the floor and just pull like that, chances are you would feel a lot of tension in the lower back. And you might not feel very comfortable with that. So it would be better to just to sit up. So if you're able to find yourself a prop on an incline, just keep the spine nice and long. You don't need to fold forward. And don't think about the hands reaching to the feet. It's more about the lengthening of the spine and just stretching, just lengthening forward. When I do this, I generally would have a slight engagement in my thighs, okay, and also in my toes, so the legs don't kind of flop out to the side. Because again, what we want to do is the intense west stretch. So the back body, if I tend to let the legs flare out, I would feel more in the inner or maybe the outer. So that might not be the shape or that might not be the stretch that I'm aiming for. Having a slight engagement in the thighs also would help to support the back, the hamstrings. So just stay here. And just note that I am not reaching my hands anywhere close to my toes at all. Okay. Always helpful is a strap or maybe a belt or towel, scarf, whatever that you can grab, and just kind of wrap it around your feet and just lengthen. Okay. And maybe, doing it quite often, you would feel that, oh, I got a bit more space to go. Maybe this doesn't feel much anymore. Maybe because your body is getting used to it, then, maybe go deeper might feel a better stretch for you. And if you don't have a, incline to sit on, if you can't find anything, then bending of your knees would also help, because bending of your knees allow the upper body to lengthen. Again, you're not having so much tension in the lower back, in that buttock area, so you're having more space to sit tall. Okay, so for this one, you might just stay here. This will give you a different sensation because you will be releasing the upper portion of the back body. Okay, and you do want to stretch. Okay, maybe sit against the wall and just stretch. Use a strap, use a belt. Okay, props are your friends. Okay, don't treat it as like an inferior, something that's less able. Mat is a prop. The wall is a prop, right? And just stay. Sometimes even clothes are a prop, if you want to do like arm balance, if you want to do curl, if you want to, like, wearing the proper leggings would help you to have better balance, right? So everything's a prop. Just stay here. Now going back to square one, hands touching your toes doesn't really mean anything. It gives you more of a reference point. However, if you are here already, okay, you're like, I don't know where I should go, because for me, in this shape, I don't really feel anything. What now, right? I mean, again, bodies comes in different shapes and sizes. Some people feel a particular shape easier, while other people would need to spend a bit more effort and time just to find that experience as well. So if you're here, if you don't feel anything, you might actually want to just notice the thigh and the belly, the distance. So instead of pulling and yanking like crazy, if you're here, if you're like, not much happening, then consider keeping the spine nice and long, lengthen, and instead of pulling the head down to the toes or your shin bone, consider minimizing the space between the belly and the thigh. Okay, that will give you a deeper compression. Okay, and eventually just relax the head. Of course, that was just speaking on a physical level. I mean, if you're talking about energy and other layers, then you don't have to physically, then that will be other answers to that. So you can just stay there, stay in this, in this shape, and just maybe just focus on the breath. Okay, that would also deepen. But again, in terms of speaking on just a physical level, then that is one of the ways to, help you to feel the stretch a little bit more. Whatever that you do, I wouldn't really recommend anyone to like pull a lot and really round their upper back and hunching and just collapsing. Okay, and that's because if you are doing that, like really collapsing, rounding a lot, you're actually collapsing the diaphragm. You're actually restricting the ability to breathe. That's it for my sharing for today. Hope it's helpful, and I'll see you again soon. Take it easy.